Bring in Esther George, served as Kansas City Fed president from 2011 to January of this year. And I'm unhappy, President Trump. Mandatory retirement in January. Have they heard of a guy named Warren Buffett or William Shatner? Or, I mean, that's ridiculous. What year are they living? You know what? It is to our benefit, though, because now you can actually talk about some things that maybe in the past you would have been less inclined to talk about. For example, I know you're willing to weigh in on the Fitch downgrade, but let's just start out with this retail sales number and Steve's reporting. Did you foresee when you were at the Fed that it was going to be a much stronger economy and maybe a no landing or soft landing? And what is really behind that? Is it all the stimulus that we're still seeing fiscally?
Yeah, I think watching this recovery from the pandemic has been fascinating and difficult to judge. The consumer, as we see today in retail sales, so important to this economy, and they really have hung in there despite what has been one of the most aggressive tightening cycles that the Fed has undertaken. So this is an extraordinary time. We're watching these imbalances in the economy continue to work their way through. Some sectors not doing as well. Others, like the consumer, really powering ahead.
I guess I was channeling Robert Kaplan, also a former Fed official, who said that he thinks demand's going to stay strong because of, take your pick, the infrastructure spending, the CHIPS Act, the IRA. And initially, that will cause rates to continue to go higher and inflation to stay stubborn, but long-term could be a positive. Do you share that viewpoint?
I think it's reasonable. I mean, you think about the consumer has benefited from fiscal support. That was a tailwind for spending for sure. You look at how tight the job market is right now. And so wages are rising, people have jobs, and that income also is supporting the spending that we see today. So that could put more pressure on the Fed.
Okay, I'm going to let Steve in and just say, I just want to get to that Fitch downgrade and what your thoughts are now. And, I mean, does the Fed share any culpability for some of the problems we have? Did it enable fiscal spending more than it should have for a couple of years? Who's at fault for what could be 180% of debt to GDP by 2050?
Well, we had a tremendous shock, Joe, as you know, that caused both monetary policy and fiscal policy to come to the rescue. And now, of course, we're looking over our shoulder, trying to figure out how we work our way out. I think when you look at the fiscal side of the equation, which was so important, both to the transition to a recovery, but also now the consequence that you have to face. It's not just the Fitch downgrade. I think if you look at what the Congressional Budget Office itself put in a report this summer, we're not on a good path in terms of our fiscal situation. And so it will be important, certainly for the long term. But I think even now, watching how interest expense on government debt is growing, very important that this aspect of policy be addressed. And that, of course, separate from what the Fed is doing, but equally important, I think, to our future.
On the flip side, I mean, I guess some people could argue that the Fed is like, this is like a Nadia Comaneci dismount from the bounce being like a 10. I mean, if you really orchestrate a soft landing, is that the first time it's ever been done, if it actually happens? But what's ironic is, if it's too soft, the Fed thinks they gotta do more work to slow things down. It's a very strange paradox.
It's a tough time. I mean, who doesn't want a soft landing? I think everyone would hope for that. But I'm reminded inflation is not yet at the Fed's target. And so it's too soon, I think, to really make that call on the economy.
Steve,
inflation needs to come down. We still have quantitative tightening.
Okay. Sorry, President. Just sorry to interrupt. Steve, I know you're probably ready to go 2 or 3 questions ago.
No. You've been doing a great job, Joe. I guess what I would just do is be a little more direct, Joe, which is usually your job here. But,
no,
I've been talking to
I want to be
Esther.
That's in spite of myself. I don't want to be that direct, usually.
Talking to Esther as president for all of these years, now, thank you for being here, Esther, and really glad that you can be part of the discussion here. I guess my question is the more direct one. You have they've not slowed growth below potential. The unemployment rate has not budged. You have done 500 basis points of tightening. Does all of that up to telling you the Fed needs to do more here?
I think by the Fed's own forecast, Steve, they had projected doing more even this year. And I think appropriate to wait and see how the data is coming in. So far, I think what it's telling them is the economy is pretty strong. There's still lags. I'm quite convinced there's more to come from the tightening that's been done. But I wouldn't be too assured at this point that the inflation fight is over. It's proven to be pretty sticky, and that may mean more work for them.
Let me just ask you from the other side, though, which is the extent to which you think, and obviously in your tenure at Kansas City, you had a banking expertise there, and you've always watched the banks, and you were concerned about the banks. Do you remain concerned about the drag on the economy from a decline in lending from the banks? It was a big concern in March of this year. It does not appear to have necessarily materialized.
Well, I think some of these things, again, take time. And I would not be sanguine at this point, given, again, the amount of tightening already in the system, that banks aren't going to continue to have to digest these rate increases. It's not yet, I think, blown through to the consumer base, to some of their borrowers. So I'd still be mindful of watching how the banks and their customers are able to adjust over the next year.